From childhood, we are educated to accept the physical model of a spinning globe without question. We assume the model is proven by dense theoretical physics equations and composite images provided by government space agencies. But when the military and aviation industries actually engineer these multi-million-dollar operational systems, they drop the globe model entirely. Official flight manuals, like NASA Technical Memorandum 104240, prove this. Their mathematical derivations require a specific foundational assumption, a completely flat, non-rotating Earth. If target tracking missiles or navigating aircraft relied on formulas based on a spinning ball, they would miscalculate their destinations and crash. Practical engineering demands a stationary plane to function. It forces us to ask what we find if we strip away the textbooks and audit the physical reality ourselves. Start with the baseline rules of fluid mechanics. Liquid at rest cannot physically bulge. It naturally flows to find the lowest point and forms a completely horizontal, flat baseline. This diagram contrasts that flat baseline against the required geometry of a globe. To maintain a sphere of roughly 25,000 miles in circumference, the surface must drop 8 inches per mile squared. At a distance of 10 miles, the landscape should decline by 66 feet. Yet when we fire lasers or use long-range optics across calm bodies of water, objects remain entirely visible down to their bases. The geometric drop simply isn't there. Altitude presents a second geometric problem. If you ascend into the air from a physical sphere, the horizon must mathematically drop down and away from your line of sight. But footage recorded during independent high-altitude balloon ascents shows the opposite. The horizon consistently rises to remain locked exactly at the observer's eye level. Without a downward curve to the landscape, and with water remaining absolutely level, the mathematical globe fails the direct physical eye test. Looking upward, the atmosphere introduces another physical contradiction, governed by the second law of thermodynamics. This schematic demonstrates how a high-pressure gas system reacts to an adjacent negative pressure void, like the vacuum of space. The gases must instantly equalize unless they are separated by a physical, structural barrier. The military actively relies on the existence of this barrier. They build massive over-the-horizon radar systems to communicate globally. This graphic illustrates an engineering utility known as skywave propagation. High-frequency signals are transmitted upward, where they hit a solid reflective ceiling in the sky and bounce back down to distant targets. You cannot bounce a physical radio wave off an open, empty gas vacuum. Global communications and radar operate successfully only because the sky functions as a solid, reflective boundary. If the physical data points to an enclosed, stationary plane, how did a centralized globe framework capture the entire human population? It started in the 1500s with the standardization of print. Centralized powers used the mechanical printing press to flood commercial centers with uniform global maps, establishing a visual baseline before the public had any way to verify the actual territory. By the 1800s, mandatory public schooling effectively captured the institutional curriculum. Children were pre-programmed by staring at physical globes on their desks for years before they were ever allowed to study independent physics. Then, in 1959, opposing superpower nations came together to sign a highly unusual alliance known as the Antarctic Treaty. Operationally, this treaty places the southern boundaries of the Earth under a permanent military watch, legally banning any independent motorized exploration. This multinational lockout ensures that no civilian can ever freely traverse the ice to verify the physical perimeter of the world on their own. Meanwhile, modern academic scientists are restrained by hyper-specialization and forced to adhere to uniformitarianism, the assumption that all Earth processes happen slowly over vast spans of time. Anyone who analyzes the whole picture and contradicts this creed loses their funding. The textbook reality survives as a closed-loop matrix. It relies entirely on controlled maps, on controlled schools, and controlled borders. To see the actual shape of the Earth, you have to reject institutional faith and look directly at the untheorized physical mechanics of the creation.